Recording to the cloud. Okay, so here we are. There's 4 of us, and this is the Nature Stewardship meeting number 3. And let's see what do I have on the. I'm trying to look at the do things according to the sociocracy method here. Or alternatively, just what other people seem to be doing. And the first thing is check-in. We've already consented to video recording, so we can skip that. But then the first thing is check-in. So do we want to briefly check in? I'm not sure. I've never done that before. Does someone else want to start? How we're doing?
Yeah.
Benjamin?
Sure, yeah. I will quickly check in. I'm looking forward to this meeting. Checking out the questions was really interesting. I know that I was pretty torn on a few of the categorizations of some of these questions. So it'll be.
We talked about it quite a bit. Yeah. So it'll be interesting to talk about it with everyone now.
Yes. Jorge?
The connection between this study group and the VCI study group regarding the questions, it's going to get fascinating because we depend so much on the VCI PMA and culture process to finish, so we can understand what is our vision, like what is our work here, because otherwise we can just like go around forever studying so many things regarding nature stewardship that maybe 2026 would be over and done before we start working. So it would be very good to get clarity on what is our main focus for the next, at least the next 6 months. Who is Elia Concha?
Elia, are you there? There's someone, let's see, they may not be connected. And there's Ann Mitchell.
Oh, hi, Ann.
Hi, Ann. So we're actually recording and we're checking in. And I think we're to, I haven't said anything, but you could go next, Ann, if you want to.
Oh, sure. So the check-in question, I'm sorry, is it?
I didn't have a check-in question. All I did was I saw that other people, other meetings had check-in as the very first thing. So I said, fine, we'll check in. And okay. That's as far as I got. So okay. Any suggestions for anything?
No, that's great. So I'm checking in. I'm a little bit frazzled because we're moving and the house that we are renting and leaving is being shown all the time. And so I frequently have to get my dogs out and go for a walk and turn lights on and keep everything.
They are recording.
And so I'm doing that. So I just had to do that. So that's why I'm late. And I'm doing it multiple times a day on many days. So it's a little distracting. So I will try and focus and get centered and get into this work. It's good to see everyone.
Likewise, son.
Okay.
Elia is on the chat box saying hi. I'm now. So you are on the Nature Stewardship Study Group, Elia?
Yeah. Hi, I'm Elia.
Hi.
Hi. I haven't been participating up till now, but I just caught up on all the emails. So I want to help. I'm an ecologist in California right now. I've been working in Africa and Latin America as well on how much time have I got? To be brief, the differences between domestic animals and wild animals. I'm a wildlife ecologist. So I can contribute and want to contribute to the parts about releasing domestic animals into what kind of habitat and maintaining what kind of habitats for existing wild animals, stopping some of the extinction spasm.
Okay, yeah, that's great. I think we will all welcome your participation, because this is exactly the kind of expertise that we need. You know, I have no particular experience at ecology per se. I read a bunch of books, and that's about it. So that's my that could be my check-in. I would also add, I think I've said this already, but we're recording, and so if anybody,
That's fine.
Okay, great. And then let's see, and everyone has checked. And I guess Sylvie, Sylvie, do you have anything to say
about checking in or what? No, I'm just excited how we move forward with all the questions, etc. And proposals for vision, mission, and aim. Yeah.
Hey, Sylvie. And I just want to say welcome to Elia. Is that how you pronounce your name?
Yeah, it's either Elia or Elea, whichever you prefer.
Well, welcome to
I
the
worked
group.
with elephants, so my totem animal is the elephant, so I kind of got my name to sound more like Elia than Elea, but either one is fine. Thanks.
Well,
what's your name? I don't see names by people's faces. I see people's faces but no names, and you probably see my okapi and no picture, because that's how my phone is set up. But does anyone know how I put names attached to people?
I don't actually know that.
Yeah, the names just show up on the lower left side of the picture. I'm in gallery mode. This is Anne. And in gallery mode, the names show up on the lower left side of each of the pictures. Huh.
It might be different on the phone.
It might be on the computer.
I'm looking at settings, and there's one for show name when participants join, but I'll uncheck that and see if it shows names all the time. It's a new phone, sorry.
No, not a problem.
Well, maybe we have to say who we are when we're talking.
Yeah, we can try to say who we are as we talk today. Maybe that would help.
That would be helpful.
And how caught up on the emails have you seen kind of the process that we're using on using sociocracy to create a vision, mission, and aims and culture, or which emails were you catching up on?
I've been getting the emails about nature stewardship and the Dharma base camp and the prevention of year zero, or do they all start with prevention of year zero?
Yeah.
Nature stewardship is the one I'm most interested in. I've got to say I did not participate while a certain other person was participating from the U.S. who
Are you going to do that?
Hello, can you hear me? I can hear you. Okay, sorry. There was a certain disruptor who has slandered my work, and I didn't want to work with her, but she has bowed out of this group, so I can now work with you again. Yay. So I've only just read all the different types of questions, and I am having trouble fitting them into those three categories.
Cool. Well, I think part of the meeting today is talking about how we fit those things into each category. So you're in the right place, and I'm glad that you were able to take a look at what's led up to this. So that's fantastic.
Thanks. I'll try and catch up.
One question which I would add before we get into the rest of the meeting is, where is everyone from, and especially Aaliyah? Are you in the United States or what?
Yeah, I thought I said that. I'm in California right now, Northern Cal, in the zone that burns often and frequently. And so I went to school in Florida and South Africa, Southern Africa, got my 2 masters in environmental, one's in environmental studies, one's in wildlife conservation. And that was at U Florida and 6 universities in Southern Africa. So now I'm in Northern Cal applying to jobs and doing some consulting, and probably going to move from here sometime soon.
Okay, thank you. So this is Keith again. I'm on the screen. I'm labeled as climate healers, but that's just because I'm logging in to the account so the meeting can use the climate healers account. I'm wondering at this point if everyone has had a chance to look at the minutes, and if anybody wants to say anything about that for the last meeting. The quote, I style it the minutes, but I put it at the end of Nature Stewardship. It's on the message board for Nature Stewardship meeting 2. Is everybody all right with that? Do I
haven't read it.
Yeah.
I just located it.
Yeah, where is the message board?
Oh,
okay.
Let's see, message board. First, you go to the Nature Stewardship, let me see, base camp. First, you go to Nature Stewardship Study Group, and you see 7 little boxes at the top. And on my screen, it's the second box from the left at the top. It's the middle box at the top. It just says message board. Do you see that?
Am I on the message board if it has pings and hey and activity and my stuff at the top?
Okay, go to home. Board? Let's start with home. There's a little thing at the top that says home.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, I was in, I think I was, all right, I think I was in the message board, but maybe not.
Okay,
so back to home.
Okay, home, and you see all the groups that you're in. And one of the groups should be the Nature Stewardship group or projects. So then you go to Nature Stewardship Study Group and click on that. Are you there?
Yep, and it's message board.
And then message board. And then of all the messages, there's a Nature Stewardship meeting number 2. And you click on that.
Yeah.
And you see everything from the beginning of the announcement of the meeting, and then you scroll down, and finally at the end, there's the quote says minutes from meeting for 2020-02-10. And then that's just what we did. And I don't think it's has any profound significance, but I just wanted to draw attention in case anybody said, oh, but we said something else or something, and that could be put into the minutes.
The minutes look good to me, Keith. Thank you.
Okay, fantastic. Okay, so I guess we will, let me look at the agenda, make sure that I'm following the agenda, which is always important. Which is going to be, yeah, we've done the minutes. Okay, now the agenda items. Now the next question is, what are we going to talk about? And I think that what we want to talk about is turn it over to Jorge, and he's going to clarify the vision, mission, and aims of this group by looking at the questions asked. What has happened is that we've asked a bunch of questions and posted them at various places in the nature stewardship group. I think some of them are in the, anyway, they were at various places. I think some of them were on the message board. Some of them may have been at other places. But anyway, Jorge collected all of them into a spreadsheet, and I would suggest that we turn it over to him to conduct the bulk of the meeting. And then before we end, we need to talk about the next meeting and then adjourn.
Okay, thank you, Keith. So I'm going to share my screen so we can see the spreadsheet that Keith referred to. Just a second here. Okay, there it is. So far, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I just read Anne's quickly on Basecamp comments. And I'm sorry, I made a mistake when I programmed the format, but I quickly changed it. So I didn't think that anybody had a problem. So maybe the link that you had open was the old version. And yes, like if you filled it in, I could imagine it was not very pleasant not to submit. Did anybody have the same problem? No? Okay.
No, so
Yeah, so I figured that was the reason. Like the old link was not refreshed in your browser, so you filled that one out. Yeah, sorry about that. And
that's okay. I apologize. I had done it on Friday, submitted it, walked away, didn't come back and look at anything, and then saw that I hadn't done it, and it was silly. Thank you. It's done that.
well, okay, so I'm glad that we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we can work not as a definite list, but at least we can perhaps locate the vision questions first. The vision is supposed to be about who we are in this study group, not about what the study group is. You see the difference? Because one involves us as who we are as a study group. The other one is the usual of what is the study group. So it makes it more personal, more engaged in how we present it. It talks about who we are in the sense of our age group, if it's open only to adults, if it's open only to vegans, if it's open only to be people that are already in the Basecamp General Vegan World 2026 members or volunteers, whatever we want to call us. Like if we say we're a bunch of people, doesn't tell much about our involvement with the study group. But if we say we are intergenerational volunteer vegans in Vegan World 2026, it is addressing to us directly, right? And then we can move ahead saying that the nature study group highest possibility in the future would be involved in this way or that way. So that would be the general vision questions, like anything related to that. The mission questions, it is, yes, Elia?
Oh, do I have my hand up?
Yeah, I heard you breathing. Maybe I confused that.
Sorry, I have to figure out how to mute.
Okay, thank you.
Are we going to go around and each say what we think is the vision, mission, and whatever else you have categories for?
This is the way that the vision, mission, aims, culture is presented in sociocracy. It is not the usual vision, mission, and goals, no, that is supposed to be part of a business plan. It is like the sociocratic way to
okay.
construct.
So is your version of it on the list of questions or somewhere on this document so that we can discuss it while reading it?
No, it's under the comments on the thread on the Basecamp study group and in some videos of the VCI meetings only. So I'm just like putting a quick referral like verbally so we can see how we have been filling out the form so we can check in really quickly. The idea is to understand which are the vision questions first, which are the first one that we are going to answer. So it's kind of like a categorizing to get a priority to answer the questions. So if we find that one question is the vision question, we will answer that first, then another question that is mission related, or that is aims related, or that it's culture related, or to be discussed related.
Okay, but what was the category where you said this is what we are, who we are?
Who we are. Who are we? That's the vision
What's
question.
that title? That's a vision?
Yes.
We are people with visions, but our visions differ. Look at the 96 different questions. I thought we were going to categorize them all into different categories like vision, mission, or
yes. So
activities.
Right now, just like to say an example, in this one, the one that is colored in green, it says, does this group overlap with any other groups? If yes, how do we handle that? Or what should we do about that, if anything? So we can see that there's 3 people coinciding that it's a vision question, and 2 people that are not in alignment with that. So that would be open for discussion. But in another example, the question number, I don't know the number, but it says, please, how do we define nature? Are humans part of nature? We all are in agreement that it's a vision question. You see? So
oh, I see. I see. Okay.
Okay.
So while you're talking, I'll go and fill in that part of this table. I only saw the table of questions with no labels what the questions are falling into.
Yeah.
So thanks.
The labels are on the very top, on the columns.
Yeah, I have not seen this table.
Okay.
Yeah,
as you scroll down, maybe the column names will be lost, but it would be like vision, mission, aims, culture, and to be discussed. So I've been thinking about how to present that easier, so I can do the averages, because I know how to do averages with numbers. So maybe 1 would be vision on the next opportunity, 2 culture, 3. No, I mean 1 vision, 2 mission, 3 aims, 4 culture, and 5 to be discussed. So it will be easier to understand that there's a relation between the category and the priority. But I will get that done. Maybe Benjamin would like to also think about how to make that a form with that. Okay, so the vision question that is very straightforward is this one, no? How do we define nature? Are humans part of nature? So I want to ask you now if you think that this would really address the meaning of nature stewardship. Like, would that help us to understand who are we or not? Like, does it make sense to categorize this question as a vision question?
Can I suggest that I would put it personally into culture and not vision? Because we are obviously all Homo sapiens, but we may have different visions, and the vision seems bigger than that to me. There are different kinds of Homo sapiens, sure, but wouldn't that be in culture?
I don't know. What does everybody think?
Well, in this example, the vision that we are looking for is the vision of the nature stewardship group. So in sociocracy, well, actually in this example, the nature stewardship group is one study group inside a project. The project is called Vegan World 2026. And Vegan World.
I know that. You don't have to catch me up that much. I'm in 6 different groups. This is one of 6.
Okay.
But this one of 6 is not defining the vision for all.
No,
the
only
whole.
for this group.
Right. So if our, by our title, our vision should be around how we do better stewardship or combine the good stewardship and stop the bad stewardship. I mean, I hate to use terms like good and bad, they're too simple, but for the sake of time, our vision is bigger than just, are we part of nature or not? Because obviously
this is just one
we
question.
are and we aren't.
This is just
What?
one question, like addressing the whole list of questions. Some of them are going to be vision questions. So answering to these vision questions will clarify our vision as a study group, which name is Nature Stewardship Study Group. That's the whole purpose of this exercise.
I'm sorry, I don't mean to be delaying, but does anyone question whether humans can be both quote unquote good stewards and bad stewards, and probably everything in between stewards? It's a moral judgment of how we affect nature, but does anyone argue that we're completely separate from nature?
No, and we're not actually answering these questions right now, Elea. We're trying to figure out which questions go to each of the categories. And then we will go back and we will all have the opportunity to answer them and to attempt to come to an answer that the people on this group can agree to those answers. And those answers will lead us to the vision statement for this group. So right now there are going to be at least, what are there, 2, 4, 6, 7 of us on this call. There are going to be at least 7 different answers to every question. If all of us chose to answer every question. So what we're trying to do right now is to come up with the 20 questions that relate to vision, and that's a guess. And then we'll go back and answer those 20 questions, and then we will form the vision statement for the group. So we're using the questions to help us figure that out.
Sure, but we're working on just vision first and not culture, mission, or what's the other fourth?
Yeah,
do we have just 3? Vision, culture, mission. What else do we have?
Vision, mission, aims, culture, and to be discussed.
It's more about categorizing them right now to know like which address more which of the categories. And also I think even if we have like 30 vision questions that we would categorize as vision questions, it doesn't mean that the answers of all these combined is our vision. Like the vision should be obviously something shorter, but it will help us to define and make a concise vision. And then these questions were not done for nothing then. I mean, we make a short vision and then we still have all these questions answered, and they could go in like a Q&A about the nature stewardship group, so that people are like, know that we have already thought about these things if they want to join, and for us also to remember. And sorry, Susanna, I saw your hand up, but I jumped first.
No, I mean, I guess I asked that question about, are humans a part of nature? And I think, I don't know if it would help to provide some context for Elia, but you know, I joined this nature stewardship group, and for the most part, it seems like we're talking about wilderness when we talk about nature here. And in other aspects of Vegan World 2026, we talk about humans being a part of nature. So just in terms of thinking about who we are and just being on the same page in terms of definitions, that's why I wanted this question to be answered here. Or that's why I thought it might be interesting to see where we were all coming from for this.
Yeah, I agree. And also the word nature is key to have the same meaning. Like, what is nature? Like, who is part of nature? Like, this is a key word for our name. So if we don't have clarity to understand what we mean by using the word nature, we won't have clarity for the rest of the questions to be answered.
I think that there's a couple of terms which are not clear, and also the usage matters. The first thing which I think we've just discussed, this is Keith again, which we just discussed is, are humans part of nature? And you could argue this either way. Yes, of course humans are part of nature. But on the other hand, there's this idea of wilderness, of things, and are we trying to steward humans as well as all the wild animals or the domesticated animals and so forth? And I think that if we defined it that way, if we said that yes, nature stewardship includes everything, in that case, then we've just taken over the entire group, the entire climate healers, and we're going to work on climate change and new economy and everything else. So I think that we have to draw the line somewhere as to what exactly we're talking about. And I've got some more of it. I'll get to you.
Okay, this is Alea. Can I respond to that, please?
Yes.
Okay, Keith, I agree. A line has to be drawn for each study group. And for this study group, nature stewardship is already the name. We can change the name, but I thought we were going to just change the vision statement, the mission statement, and the aims statement, and then maybe culture and to be discussed. But we were asked to put these questions into those categories, and I don't still see the table that, is it Jorge has up on his screen? That table is not
that
editable,
table, you will
right?
find it on the Basecamp comments. Like there's two files. One is the form.
Can you,
and the
can
other
you just post it as editable, please? Where the nature stewardship questions were. That's the only thing I could change was the nature stewardship questions. And anyway, my comment about what Keith said is, I think we should be discussing here what to include and not include, where that line should be. But that's why I asked, does anyone disagree? And I'm happy if you do, with my statement that all humans are stewards of some sort of the nature they live in. We impact what I consider nature to be the natural environment unimpacted by humans, and there are no parts anywhere. I've been in wilderness in the middle of the Amazon and everywhere. We've impacted it all. We're impacting it all by climate change. So to say we can't talk about less impacted ecosystems versus more impacted ecosystems seems to defeat the point of having a study group to study how we're stewards, because we're stewards of it all.
Right, Alea, the issue here that we're having two different conversations, I'm afraid. So you're having one conversation and the other 6 of us are having a different conversation. And we need to understand that. I think that what we really need to do is that one of us needs to sit down and spend a good hour or more with you about the process we are going through in the nature stewardship group, which we are also going through in another group that many of us are involved with here, to understand how we're pulling this all together to get where we want to go to. So,
well, if you've already pulled it all together into those 5 categories, then show me the chart. And if you want my input on it, I need to be able to input on the chart. If not, then you're a closed group, and great, go for it. Happy to bow out.
Alea, we started this process and we sent a survey out that we asked everyone to fill in before today's meeting. You didn't get it.
And I got it today as a list of 96 questions. Right. Categorize these 96 questions.
Right.
I don't see a chart where they've already been categorized into those 5 categories.
That's what we're in the middle of doing. So the rest of us have filled in that survey and it automatically populated to that spreadsheet. So if you want to fill out that survey, it will automatically move your name and all of your answers into that spreadsheet.
I'm not able to pull that spreadsheet up, and it
Yeah.
doesn't have vision, mission, aims, and culture at the top. The one George, I'm sorry, bad with names, just showed us. The one on his screen is not popping up on my screen. Where under this study group is it?
Right, that's correct, because you need to fill out the survey.
I did the survey. You mean the original survey to say which groups do you want to contribute to?
No, the survey for the nature stewardship group, collecting questions for determining the vision, mission, aims. And yes, Suzanne, please jump in here.
I will send you some things on Basecamp to try to get you up to speed, Alea. There was a survey that we all took to give our own, you know, the spreadsheet that Jorge is showing, like Anne said, it's just an automated response.
Summary of your surveys.
Yeah.
All
so,
I got, yeah, so thank you for catching me up. All I got was step 3, answering questions to be done by this meeting, February 24th. Put the questions into those categories. But I am still stuck on that. It's like my answers do not go into that spreadsheet, and I can't see that spreadsheet.
I'll
So you,
both links so you can see the spreadsheet, but you won't be able to edit the spreadsheet because the spreadsheet is just a direct feed from the survey. Okay, so I'll send you a ping with both of those right now.
okay, thanks.
Okay, so we need to figure out right now if we want to stick to the agenda and move forward into the categorizing of the questions, at least to have the vision questions finalized. But here's the thing, like I hear that Elia wants to contribute and she hasn't finished the survey. Sylvie hasn't finished the survey. This represents a delay on the work of everybody else according to the agenda. And this is why the agenda is necessary. So we can move forward and we know why we show up to the meetings. So right now, I gotta say that I feel frustrated about having to explain and go through the basics, and I'm having a trouble to see any path forward to continuing our work on this meeting. So I would suggest either work with what we have or propose a reschedule of the meeting to have the input of Elea and have the input of Sylvie and to whoever else that want to be part of this process, but figure out who is part of this process. And so, yeah, I'm willing to hear about this. Like, what do you want to do after?
Okay, there are several things that are going on. I agree that with Jorge that that this process is not going quite as smoothly as we anticipated. There are and I haven't even brought up. I have some questions also about what the difference is between vision and culture, which to me seems to be significant. So I'm not even sure what we're talking about. And also, while I think that sociocracy is by sort of default the way we're doing things, what exactly sociocracy is and how we carry it out is not entirely clear. And I'd like to see, this is probably not the place to discuss it, but I would like if someone could show me some books. I think I posted a comment somewhere. I think it was on the VCI discussion board. Does anybody know any good books on sociocracy so that we know what the heck we are talking about? The third thing I'd like to say is that I think that Elia is important, and I think that I want to somehow keep her in this group because she probably knows more than any of us about this stuff, and she could probably get us quite a way forward. what we're trying to do, I think, is to, we've got these questions and everybody submitted some. And so we want to know what kind, yeah, okay, I've seen that. That's, what about the, Anne is showing a book. Okay, Anne, I'm gonna, let's talk offline about this because I've found some books also. But okay, Anne wants to talk to me and she will. Okay, so, so what we want to do, what do we want to do here? I think that the ideal of this meeting, well, Elia, did you want to say something?
I'm trying to type a message into the message board and it's telling me you can't see it, I can't post it. So I was hoping to contribute to the chart, the categories, the definitions of vision, mission, aims, and culture. And it is familiar. I think Anne said we often get stuck in this part of sociocracy where everyone has different opinions and we slowly come together. It's nothing to be worried about. It's not obstruction on my part for sure. I want to flow with the chart of 4 categories or 5 categories, whatever. We can have the 5th be other and contribute. My ecological knowledge is bigger than my sociocracy knowledge, but I have used it before. So I think we need to hear from everyone. And thank you for Keith for saying that everybody's opinion counts.
Okay, thank you. Okay, thank you. So there's some feedback. Okay. Okay, so I think a lot of what's happened is just some technical problems. There's some files that we've looked at, and that's another issue that's come up. This is some files that we've seen that Alea has not seen. And then the other thing is that we have different ideas of what vision, mission, what vision and culture means. A lot of the questions, and I saw everyone is answering some questions as a vision question, whereas I think it's culture. So I think that we have, to me, who we are, I mean, is more defined by our objectives. Who we are in terms of is defined, I mean, we're a bunch of people, but the vision would stay the same even if all 7 of us dropped out and were replaced by some gradually dropped out over time and were replaced by a bunch of people from, you know, China or somewhere where a completely different group could take over from us and still have the same vision. So I'm not sure how who we are relates to our vision, except to the extent that our vision defines who we are. So I think there's some things that need to be sorted out here. So I'm not quite ready to suggest a course of action, but I'm leaning in the direction of setting up another meeting and trying to straighten as much of this out as we can. In fact, what we might want to do is just make a list of the things that need to be straightened out, and before we actually get into crunching out these questions and categorizing them and answering them. And Anne wants to say something. So Anne.
Yeah, so since we're also working through this process, but we're a little bit further ahead in BCI, we had put together a context for understanding vision, mission, aims, and used the Climate Healers vision, mission, and one of its aims to show what those things are and to have a common understanding. So I can pull that up. There was a whole write-up and a video that went along with that. Jorge did the video to help everyone understand how the questions should be written and what they were going to go to. And I did this piece on vision, mission, and aims so that we would have that common understanding. So I think we need to reiterate that information here and then attempt I mean, what we're finding in VCI is that as we answer the questions, there are some things that are becoming clearer and clearer, and it's helping to get us into onto the same pathway. So, and I've said this a whole bunch of times in VCI, but I still believe it here. Vegan World 2026 and all of these groups were started with no governance model. And we are attempting to put one into place in the middle of things already happening, and in a situation in which everyone is welcome, which means that people are coming in at all different points without having the benefit of all the earlier conversations. And it's just time consuming and periodically frustrating to figure out how to do this and how to move forward. So I guess I would like to offer, number one, that we pull up the contextual pieces from VCI and share them here so that everyone takes a look at those again. And then we put together the questions that go with vision and we begin to answer them, because the questions that have been pulled together here are extremely good. And we do need everyone, and we do need larger groups working on these problems than we currently have. And we need to figure out how to bring people up to speed so that when we have a meeting scheduled and we have an agenda that we're going to do something, that we actually get to still do that.
Okay, and all of this is totally new to me. I am finding out about this all for the first time right now, just for your information. So I will take a look at this also. I think that to a certain extent, and this is just my personal opinion now, is that to a certain extent, we will find out more how to do things as we actually do them. And it might be also useful to actually try to get something done just as a group, rather than constantly worrying about, like, are we following the process and so forth and so on. I just don't want to see a lot of time. I mean, I'm actually trying to save the world here, and rather than worry about, like, what is culture, what is vision, and things like that. So I would say the first thing that needs to happen is that the contextual pieces about the process, and I think that Anne has said that she knows about this, and others of you, in fact, everyone except me may know about it. I don't know. But anyway, so we could bring that out and say, especially if this defines vision, mission, and aims. So I would say the contextual pieces need to be sorted out. The second thing is that we need to resolve these technical issues. And I think that this is mostly, and I have to say that I've looked for as soon as Elia said, I can't find the spreadsheet, I says, oh, I can find that. And I started going around in Basecamp and, oh, where is it exactly? And so I couldn't find it. So everything is sort of scattered around. So we need to be a little clearer on the technical stuff. If it's even confusing, I mean, especially confusing to me. And I think that that's those are the two main things. And then we can actually, like, maybe talk about some of these questions next time, just as for practice, kind of. I would say the two specific things that I can see that we need to get are the contextual pieces and resolving some of the technical issues. And I think we could deal with just the 7 of us on Campfire. Does that sound like a good place to sort out all this out, with people providing specific links as, here's the spreadsheet, here's the spreadsheet results, et cetera, and here's what vision means, and here's how Silesh or whoever has defined it already, things like that. So those are the two things that I could think of to address before the next meeting. And then anyone else have what else needs to happen here? Anybody?
This is Aaliyah. Thank you, Keith. Yes, I just got the links sent from Suzanne to me directly. I think it's a great idea to post them somewhere. Do we get a subset of the whole Basecamp that's like our little web page where we can post things? And instead of having to go through, read my thread, I asked about that, or read my thread, I got the spreadsheet sent to me. Now I have it sent by Suzanne, but can you post it somewhere on our part of Basecamp so that we can pull up and close down things that are Google Docs, they're live updating by themselves? It doesn't have to be that big a job. I've seen them posted elsewhere, but I don't see anything posted with our developing vision and our developing mission and our developing aims so that we can contribute. And if you're saying just the 7 of us because we decided this today, then I would agree with that, but keep the some kind of input questions open to the greater audience who might want to contribute now and then, so that we can study. We can be the 7 studiers starting to study a vision, a set of aims, a set of questions, and others can maybe toss in a question and say, oh, that's for the stewardship group to study in future, you know. Can you put them posted somewhere, Keith?
So I just posted the same files that I sent you, the link to the survey where we categorize the questions and the link to the spreadsheet that all the survey responses go to. I put that in the Nature Stewardship Campfire, which Keith was just talking about. And I'm thinking, since the campfire keeps, you know, things keep get pushed up in the campfire as more discussion happens,
you end up losing.
Well, I think I'm going to add it to docs and files too, but in Nature Stewardship, docs and files. And then, but Elia, what you were just saying, it reminds me, it seems to me like how VCI, Keith, I think you did see the VCI context that Anne was talking about. It was posted in the main Vegan World 2026 message board, and it's where VCI collected questions for VCI. And Elia, it kind of seems like you are saying you want a place where other people can continue to add questions for nature stewardship. Is that what I heard you say too? In addition to having a place where we can go to access everything.
That's what I'm suggesting, that we have this, what do you want to call it? Web page, board, open board for Nature Stewardship. When I click on it first, I see that there's a campfire with lots and lots under it. I haven't read it all. There's a message board with some messages now being, here's the stewardship survey, here's the video, and then there's a to-do list which has nothing in it but schedule the first Zoom meeting. Isn't this the 3rd Zoom meeting you've had? So the to-do list we could be developing right now for, from the 3rd meeting on, we will do X, Y, Z, and maybe take tasks, us 7, divide them up, what we need doing from now forward. And since we're 7 people contributing to this meeting, let's fix what Keith just suggested we fix, that the questionnaire evolves now, I think I heard people say, evolves from a list of questions in random order to 5 categories of questions without numbers. They're just listed under each developing question, each category, those 5 categories. If I could see all the questions under each, I would be able to put a little note by someone else's question that they put under vision and say, oh, I think that's more of an aim. But, you know, we can have those disagreements in writing on the board so that we can decide together next meeting where we shuffle each question. Is that an aim or a vision? Is that a mission or an aim? You know, that's what I thought we would be doing.
Yeah, so I think one of the reasons why we did it this way is that all of these questions will be answered eventually. This categorization just lets us know which ones we're going to answer first. So it doesn't, so the kind of back and forth that you're suggesting for this step, I think is more important on the next step when we're actually answering the questions. And that this step just allows us to kind of filter some to the top so we know which ones we want to answer first. But,
Well,
and then we'll get to all of them. So it just helps us prioritize our time, I guess.
I agree that sorting all the questions would help us prioritize which to answer first, but it seems to me, maybe I'm wrong, but it seems from this meeting that you all are jumping into, we want to answer some of the vision ones first, and there is no categorization of those 96 questions. I mean, maybe some down the bottom, or maybe some new ones that I might add might influence how we form the vision statement, and some others I add might influence how you decide which is our first priority of the mission statement. I mean, each one has different priorities laid out and agreed to as to which to answer. I don't think we should be answering any questions yet, except for maybe, do we use sociocracy or some other form of governance to order and categorize these questions? Is that answered?
Yes, I think it was an answer to the question. I see that Jorge has left the meeting, and it is, in fact, 11 o'clock, which is how long we said the meeting was going to last. So what I would suggest is that we create a to-do list, and that this be done by the next meeting. And I can already add some, and we will just interact online to facilitate communication here. And we will put it, and one of the items will be provide contextual pieces for meaning of vision, mission, aims, and culture. Because I think that this has already been done. And the other one is sort out technical pieces relating to the questions, where the survey is, and so forth. I think this will be fairly easy, but you know, still, I think we would need to say it. And then perhaps we would also want to add. Then perhaps we could add other things as we see fit to the to-do list, and that the to-do list be sort of driving the agenda that we're going to have at our next meeting, whenever that is, which actually sort of brings me to my, how does that sound? That we'll work on the to-do list offline here. Does that sound like a good plan? And then we'll meet again. Well, we'll discuss when we need to meet again, but to assemble a to-do list as soon as we get offline. Does that sound like what does everybody think about that? I see that Ray has joined the group, by the way. Are you there, Ray?
Yeah, so you're suggesting that we put a to-do list together in Basecamp, in our portion of Basecamp, but we do that offline. So we add whatever to-dos need to be done, each of us.
We could decide it right now if you want. Does that sound like a plan? We could decide things to be added to the to-do list just right now, but I'd want to do it pretty quickly because we're already over our time.
Okay, well, I have a to-do that needs to be added, because while I absolutely believe that we need a larger group of people working on these things, we have to figure out a productive way to include new people into groups. And so we're going to have some conversation with some group that figures this out, because this is not only frustrating here, it's been frustrating in other places as well. And so we've got to figure out how do we honor the fact that there are some people that have been working diligently since October, and been coming to meetings regularly and developing things. And as new people come in, then we're backing up. And again, this is not an issue only in this group, it's an issue in all of them. And it is not fair to anyone. It's not fair to the new people coming in, and it's not fair to the people who have been here all along. And so we have to figure out something. This idea of being totally inclusive and totally egalitarian is a wonderful idea, but there has got to be some structure around it, because otherwise people are not going to be able to continue doing this. So that's and I don't think that's a to-do that only the nature stewardship group can do. I think this is a much bigger issue that has got to be figured out. That's my 2 cents worth.
Okay, then
Can you make a suggestion, please?
Yes, Elea.
Oh,
If Anne has been working with the bigger group that started this whole thing, maybe you have a suggestion for making sociocracy flow, because I've heard several times that you've decided to use sociocracy, which does include newcomers as well as old timers. And so what's the suggestion for getting people to contribute to these spreadsheets that I think I just posted on the to-do list? Can we post them on the to-do list and let newcomers like myself contribute to them on that study group spreadsheet, or not? What are you suggesting, that we don't or do? Maybe after today, no more newcomers disrupting like I have? Because
it's not having newcomers, but it is the fact that newcomers are disruptive to a process that's already begun. And so we have to figure out how to make it not disruptive and still include people. So Silas has said a couple of times that when they were working on the internet process, their rule was newcomers had to observe meetings, 3 meetings in a row, before they could actually participate. And honestly, I felt like, wow, that's, you know, not all that inclusive if you're going to require people to observe 3 meetings. And that might be 3 weeks, it might be 3 months, depending on what how often the group meets. But now I think we need to go back and put something together, because again, this is coming up in group after group, that we want to encourage, we want to include, and yet we don't want to negate all the work that the rest of the group has done. And so this is a real conundrum. And this is not, I mean, Elea, for me, this is like, okay, this has come up so many times that now it has to be dealt with. And it feels very awkward, because this is not about you at all. It's about how do we inclusively include newcomers and have them participate and honor the work of the people that have been doing things. It's tough. So we're gonna have to, so Ray, I know you came in at the very end of this meeting, but as the projects coordinator, I think we need to ask your help, and we need to include Silas to say, we've got to have a process that does both, honors the new people coming in, honors the people that have been here, and that we can figure out some way to bring people up to speed while actually getting some work done. Because that our whole thing about doing this was to stop having endless conversation. I understand that conversation is very important, but that we also have some outcomes, and we're not having the outcomes. And the fact that Jorge is as frustrated as he is right now is a little scary to me. I'm pretty frustrated too. And again, I think, Elea, with your background, with what you know, we need you on this group. But we also need you to honor the process that we are engaged in, and figure out how to do this in a way that is productive. And honestly, this hour and 10 minutes has not been particularly productive.
Agreed. Agree with everything you just said. My suggestion would only be to post everything in a more easy to find way that you do want contributors to join in on. And don't post your internal Vegan World 2026 big picture methodology, if you want to call it sociocracy or modified consensus, or newcomers only observe 1, 2, 3, however many meetings you decide. That's at the headquarters level. That's a rule you just set out that other people have to take or don't contribute. But at our group level, the study group, I've been in lots and lots of study groups, and we're supposed to be studying answers to the questions that other people pose. We don't pose all the questions, we just answer them, right? We try to answer them. And so it is frustrating to everyone to work on methodology of the meeting.
I was going to say that this meeting, even if it wasn't productive in the way we anticipated it to be or hoped it would be, we did get the spreadsheet, the step of the process that we were trying to complete today. It's now in other parts of Basecamp, so maybe more findable, more accessible, and that at least is a step forward, since that is what we want. I think we have a lot of learning to do in Basecamp itself and how to make it work for us as a tool. I don't know what else at the moment. Although I agree. Yes, I think we're all here because we want to be studying this topic. And the original questions that were posed, I find value in asking our own questions too. I don't think we just have to take the questions that were posed before we came here. So.
Okay, I've just looked on the to-do list, and I see that that post the spreadsheet of questions under Vision MACO for discussion and contextual meanings of vision, mission, aims, culture, and other have now been posted. So I think that we can agree that we've gotten at least 2 things to do now. Then the next question is, when, if ever, do we want to meet again? I'm assuming that we, if the smile, I'm assuming that we want to meet again. The question is, when could we meet? How long do we have to sort this out? With email messages before we could actually have a meeting and actually just possibly get something done.
I was smiling because I thought you were doing the witches scene from Hamlet. No, it's from Macbeth. When shall we meet again?
When shall we meet again?
In thunder, lightning, or in rain?
In thunder, lightning, or
when the hurly-burly's done, when the battle's lost and won, it'll be ear set of sun.
Very good. Now we've got some Shakespeare. So a week, 2 weeks? What do you think? See, I could do it. I'm retired. I could do this a lot. I don't like long meetings, but if I think that something's going to get done, I could do it. So I'm ready for next week, same time, same station. What do you think? Or we could fiddle around and we could talk about it on Campfire, and like we did at one time, and just wait till everything sort of sorts itself out.
I promised to watch the video of this meeting up to this point, to get back up to speed as to what the dispute is. I don't quite understand it, but I did get excited about all the questions that we've answered, and I recognize that there's we need some sort of a foundation of what this group is about. And I think that we started with the half Earth solution, and Jorge mentioned the convivial conservation philosophy, which is very similar yet critical of E.O. Wilson. And I think it was mentioned that both systems could be made much more radical with a vegan perspective. So that's one of the early questions. So if that's one of the ones that get answered, that gives us something to do between meetings. I like the idea of short meetings that, you know, are a reporting of what's going on between all the, like these are study groups. So if we're not familiar with either the Half-Earth Solution or, I mean, convivial conservation, just the book just landed this month, I believe. So I'm assuming nobody knows that much about it. Those are kind of background things that we could get our feet wet with, and it helps to answer the questions. One thing I've noticed about the question process, I like the question process, which questions are we going to answer, but it kind of falls down to everybody answering them off the top of their head rather than it doing any actual study. I've been answering questions about how we think VCI should run without actually understanding sociocracy. I haven't, you know, had that depth of knowledge about sociocracy. So it's, you know, I could give my opinion, but I don't really know whether it's fitting into sociocracy. I'm doing a lot of guessing. So, yeah, this is one of the things I think study groups need to do is to, if we're going to come together with ideas, we need a foundation of what has gone before. What sort of authority do we recognize? Has E.O. Wilson got the right idea, or has he got, you know, a beginning of an idea? Kind of how Sailesh says his ahimsa coin is based on give half the land back to the animals, but then be much more aggressive and with that vegan filter. Has everybody read Half-Earth by E.O. Wilson? I listened to the audiobook. That counts. That means I took absolutely no notes and was distracted while I was driving.
What year is it?
Somebody's got. And where'd you get it?
Hang on. I ordered it. Jorge sent me, and I ordered it. They don't have it on Amazon or any of those other places. You have to go directly. I'll have to look up the invoice for where I got it. I haven't started reading it because I'm still reading 2 other books, but I at least have it. So I honestly think we need to sit with this for at least a couple of weeks, and I'm going to put something together to send to Sailesh and Ray about coming up with something, putting some sort of parameter together. So my suggestion is that we plan a meeting for 2 weeks, not 1, or that we have conversation online and then decide. I do think that we want to meet together again. I also think we need to know what this group means. There are 26 groups within Vegan World 2026 right now. We do need to know what each of them is actually doing so that different groups are not doing the same thing. I do think that we need to be trying to answer questions with knowledge, not just opinion. I mean, there's a whole bunch of things here that it's a really, really, really wonderful experiment in collective intelligence and in pulling people together. And I feel like I need some thought time. And since we're doing this with VCI, and VCI is the hub group, the unifying group of the entire thing, I think it does go to that group to help figure this out. And so that's, again, that's my 2 cents worth, is that we don't plan a meeting for at least 2 weeks, that we have some time to think about this, that we try and put something together that helps guide how we bring people in. And that's what I think.
I feel what you're saying, Anne, that we have to protect what has gone before. And yet at the same time, we need to have some sort of recruiting and get more people involved and get people who are, you know, already experts in the field. If you get Gil Wilson to join into the conversation, what a great way to, you know, involve people who have reach and influence and a huge body of people that are following them, admittedly in a very mainstream kind of structure that, you know, can only go so far as what solutions they offer. We're much more radical in solution, but the foundation is all the same. There wasn't any, I listened to the audiobook and I wasn't going, oh, he's got it completely wrong. But when it comes to solutions, it always feels, you know, a little bit lightweight. and completely ignoring a lot of elements of agriculture. So it's yes, but more. And
Okay.
I made questions. One of the questions I put into the list was, what do we think of Busher and Fletcher and the convivial conservation? And I don't know anything about the latter, so I've got work to do on that. But are there any of the questions that are a good starting point, or any of the questions that we don't have to answer, but we know that we've got research to do in order to answer?
I think that getting some more questions is an important task. But right now, the question is, when should we meet again? Anne has suggested in 2 weeks at the same time. Which is going to be whatever time this was now. I think it's 9 a.m. Pacific Standard. What does everyone think about that? I think we can. You should ask, even add even more, but we can do that offline. But the only thing we need to do now is decide on whether this is a good time for the next meeting in 2 weeks. What does everyone think about that? Anne says yes. Ray, Benjamin, Suzanne, Elia?
I'm typing. Hold on. Okay, can you see those messages? I tried to send them to everyone. I would prefer Tuesday mornings if at all possible, but if that's the problem, then I'm fine with Monday mornings. I'll keep delaying my Monday morning for you guys. And my suggestion above was, well, is it Ray was talking, that we can protect the work that's gone before up until this point by putting the spreadsheets on our little piece of the website, the Basecamp, and having them only editable by the general public who joins late to a certain point. And when you decide, or we decide as a group, that they're complete enough to move on to the next type of spreadsheet or document, like our vision statement, our mission statement, whatever, then we close them and they're no longer getting new questions from newcomers. But right now they're still open because you want more questions from newcomers like me. Doesn't that make sense?
Yeah, that's exactly where I think we got stuck today, was trying to figure out how to move forward, because we thought we had already answered or at least categorize them. And then you mentioned that you wanted to participate, and we were like, okay, well, how do we make that happen to be as inclusive as possible? So that was the exact process we were trying to do. So that's where we're all kind of frustrated, is we're like trying to figure out how do we do that? Yeah.
But see, if the spreadsheet is interactive, then we can all interact with it all week, 2 weeks, for however long between meetings. Between meetings, we can finish saying why, and I see a lot of questions with no owner. If there's no owner by the question, I think they should be deleted, because that person should discuss a little bit, just a teeny bit, maybe in the other column, why they, for example, disagree with categorizing the question as vision, culture, mission, whatever, you know, so we can have those little discussions 1-on-1 or 4-on-1 or 2-to-2, whatever, you know, have the discussion online. That's what Basecamp is for. And all I saw in the discussion about those questions was, put what you think categories they fall under. It doesn't look at all clear to me that they're all in agreement under any categories at all. So if we disagree about what is vision, what is culture, what is aims, then we should do that disagreeing where each person can type in their reasons and their thinking and their reading and their evidence. You know, before we start answering the questions, we got to know who each other are and feel good about putting the questions under certain categories.
And
I gotcha.
That is what we were supposed to be doing today, but we got sidestepped about that.
Well, we figured out how to fix the spreadsheet to be open for comments. Keith, I think, is the tech guru. Can you?
No.
No.
So
No.
remember, the spreadsheet is just a direct feed from the Google survey. So all you need to do is fill out the Google survey. In the future, we can do it the way you suggest with an open spreadsheet, but that's not how this particular
And
process is happening right now.
right, and we were going to
Right.
discuss those. We already had a process figured out for how to make decisions about which category those go in based on the number of people who answered them and how much agreement there was about whether they were vision, mission, et cetera. And then there's a consent process that we were going to go through. So we actually have answered your questions. We just never got to do that today. There's a whole process set up to do exactly what you just said, but we never got there.
And where is it written, Anne?
I'm
Where
just
is the
looking at the
process written?
agenda now. Have you seen the agenda in the Basecamp? This is
Yeah.
my first look at it, actually. So we got up to agree to agenda items or modify, and then those part of part 2, admin, and then 3 is clarify the vision, mission, and aims of the Nature Stewardship Study Group by examining the questions asked and compiled in the spreadsheet.
And
Yeah,
so
so
during the talk, during the meeting, Ray, I think you might have missed that we had some discussion on the questions being disagreed about whether they fall under those 5 categories. So especially the other category, we got stuck on discussing what different people have different opinions on vision, different opinions on aims, different opinions on mission, different opinions on the questions that are most relevant for each category. So that's why I suggested and keep suggesting an open spreadsheet where the answers to the survey go into those categories, and we also have an active column on the right of the questions so that they can be shuffled, combined, owned, disowned. You know, some people may see that, oh, my question really is just exactly like that other one already under culture, and I didn't think of culture that way, but yeah, that's what I'm asking. So we need to see the whole spreadsheet. I'm a big picture kind of person. I need to see them all at once under each category and then say, yeah, my questions for this category are blah, 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 more questions. But maybe if people are saying like, and we got to move on, we're done with questions, we have enough, then okay, I'm jumping in at the point where you're still putting questions under each category to prioritize which to answer first, how to answer them. I don't see that process written anywhere. Maybe it's at the top of original Basecamp, but I think Anne was saying it's not. And so top-down plutocracy, I hope we don't have, but we have a little bit of this is what works and this is what doesn't work, right? That isn't visible either. So if both were visible on our spreadsheet.
Elea, I feel like you're putting words into my mouth. Okay, so I'm getting quite frustrated here, and we're also way over the time limit of this meeting, and I have more meetings this afternoon. So
let's schedule a new one.
Yes, and we do need to work through all of this, and we do have things in writing, and we do have things on video about the way that the process, that we envision the process working, and we also have worked very hard to talk about the sociocracy philosophy of good enough for now and safe enough to try, and trying to live with that. But at this point, I am finding myself too frustrated. And again, over the time, and for me, it's 1:30. I haven't eaten my lunch yet. I have more meetings coming up. I need to prepare for them. So I'm feeling like I am not in a great place to continue this conversation. So I think we should, I'm going to leave. I will check back on Basecamp later, and we'll see when the next meeting is scheduled for. And then we need to try and figure this out. And
okay, I think we've got a proposal to make it in 2 weeks. And I would say if everybody can, and it looks like everybody consented to that. So I would say we're done. Sorry the meeting couldn't go more smoothly, but I think we've got a bunch of things to do offline. Does anybody want to continue the meeting?
I got one thing to mention about, Alea was talking about the questions that don't have names next to them. I'm assuming those are the ones that were brought up at the Vegan World 2026 conference. And because they're there, a lot of people are going to have read them and say, and not put the question, they may agree with it, but they didn't create a separate question with their name on it because it was already there. So striking them now would not make any sense. If it's at all purposeful, you could put my name next to it because I put them there because I sorted all the questions, 202 questions from the conference. And those are all people that are in Basecamp. A lot of them aren't involved in this project, and I'm not sure if they're aware that we are actually having meetings now. I'm trying to get in touch with them. So part of this is my failing to get in touch with all the people who have been in Basecamp, some of them for 2 years, and they've kind of tuned us out, and I'm trying to wake them up. So they do have a voice. They were there originally, so I'd like to keep those questions in.
Okay, we've got a to-do list. We've got a bunch of things to do. And I think we could probably add, anybody that wants to add something to the to-do list, go for it. And then we can look at them next time. But I'd say the only thing that's on the agenda right now is to meet again in 2 weeks.
Unofficial items, I would like to get that book that Anne has and catch up on what that the topic is about, because I think it's going to be, partially similar to Half Earth. These are things that we haven't decided that that's what this group does. Even though we've had previous meetings, even though we've had discussions online about Half Earth as being relevant to this group, technically, until that question is answered, as part of the vision, we make it part of our vision. We can't say that it is for sure, but so that's why it would be nice to at least have part of the vision. But if there's conflict over what is vision, what it is not, and we can't agree on any questions to continue with, if it has to be a holistic thing that every question gets sorted and agreed upon, then we're kind of stuck. But those questions have a certain amount of research and study inherent in them. I can't speak to anything that's in that book until I read it. So I don't want this to be a complete waste of time and we just don't do anything until the next meeting. I mentioned in the comments that somebody, and I think it was in this meeting, said the way that this online collaboration works is we have meetings, they could be an hour long, but that doesn't mean that there isn't hours and hours of activity that's happening in between. And this is just a space to report on that. So,
Okay, so
Thanks for that.
Very good, Ray. I'm going to talk with several of you offline in the future. And of course, everyone is invited to send an email to me. You know how to contact me, ping me, or I've got an email address too. So with that, I would say let's.
Can you give your email address?
Yes,
please.
I will type it into the chat, but it is Keith, Keith, at Compassionate Spirit, CompassионateSpirit.com. I'm very easy to find on the internet because I'm almost the only Keith Akers in existence. So if you Google me, you'll quickly find my website and all kinds of other good stuff. So please contact me, ping me, however, give me a call, whatever, and tell me your concerns, and we'll try to sort it out by 2 weeks from now. Okay? Everybody, this is good enough, as the sociocracy would say, this is good enough for now. Right?
Thank you.
Fantastic. Okay, I'll talk to you later then.
Bye.